advice. Now sit back and relax while you get advice that will take you to the next destination in your career or business. And now, Katrina Brittingham. Hello, hello, hello. This is Katrina Brittingham, and we are here today with another business related topic. And
Yeah.
today we are going to be talking about what makes a great leader.
Mm.
Hmm. And before we go into that, I want to introduce my handsome co-host. It's going this way, but this way. Doctor, the real deal love. Hello.
Hello, 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 family. Glad to be here on another Monday night. I look forward to tuning in on Monday night.
So
it's
do
always,
I.
it's always a great show. It's always a great show. You know, Katrina, I was thinking that uh, I tell the guests if we have it or if we don't have it, because we've had some exciting guests on. Do we have a guest list so that our listeners can contact the guests that we had last week, the week before that? Because I need to do some networking with a couple of the guests that we had on. You know
We
what I'm
do
saying?
have a guest list. We had Benita Weathers,
Okay.
and we had Stephanie. No, that's a different show. Excuse me. Deborah um,
Henderson.
Henderson Scott,
Yes, yes.
and I think, and then it was you, because we've only been doing this for about a month. So,
Yeah.
and then after that, I snatched you up as a co-host. So
Yes. Yes.
that is our guest list.
Okay, yes.
So far, but I am working on some other people, and hi, Adrian, how you doing, sweetie? Excellent colleague, a consummate business professional. I keep trying to get her on the show. I'm going to snatch her in one day. But
Yes.
I am working on a guest list. I
Mm.
have a lot of professionals that I network with, and I'm working on trying to get them on based on their schedule.
Okay.
Because we are a live show, um, I try to get the guests live. So trying to get them in. So I will be announcing who we're going to be having on once I get everyone in. But today is just me and you.
All right. All right. We have a great topic. We have a great topic. I'm telling you. I looked at this. I said, "Oh yes, I love it." What are the leadership qualities that make a great leader?
Exactly. And have to point out that we are both experts in our own right. So even if we don't have a guest, it's going to be an informative show.
Oh, you know it. You know it. I'm ready. You ready?
I am ready. I am bright eyed and bushy tailed
Okay, that's a
today.
good thing. That's a good.
So we're going to try the cue cards again that I wrote up. Um, but I just wanted to start with how many of us, being in corporate, being in a job, have had some great, outstanding bosses. And then we had some that were not so great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was looking and doing some research and that popped up, and I said, okay, let's do a show on this. So we all know that great leaders inspire a team to be their best and to do their best work and to shine. However, poor leadership creates mass exoduses of staff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we know that to be so true. And I've seen it. I've seen where we've had excellent managers and people have risen to the top who wanted to rise to the top. We've had poor leaders where we went from a full staff to a skeleton staff or no staff. So,
Mm-hmm.
having a great leader or being a great leader, whether you're a business owner or you're a corporate executive, is paramount to making sure that your business thrives and not go under. You can have a business go under because you have a poor leader. One
Mm-hmm.
thing that I've always despised leadership saying, and I've heard them say this to staff, is you need to just be lucky you have a job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Yes, they are. But guess what? They don't have to work for you.
Mm.
They don't have
That's
to
right.
have a job with you. And now more than ever with remote work and so many jobs to employees, which is unprecedented. You have more jobs out there than you have employees. They
Mhm.
say, "Oh, it's the lower level jobs," but it's not just the lower level jobs. Sometimes it is the technical jobs. We've had jobs that were brought back into the U.S. because they were outsourced, and with the pandemic and the loss of staff there, or and cost savings, because it actually saves money to have people work remotely.
Mhm.
um, they learned that farming it out, but
Yes,
even more
indeed.
so
Yes,
here,
indeed. Yes.
less training time and everything like that. You have a whole lot of jobs, and people have more flexibility to
Mm,
move. So you want to make sure that you are that leader that makes people want to not just come to your organization, but stay at your organization.
mm.
Any comments before I move on?
Okay, well, no, that's an excellent point because leadership. Um, my grandmother asked a question. She said, "Are leaders?" Or she said, "Are great leaders born, or are great leaders created?" You know what I'm saying? Are great leaders born, or are they created?
Up we have from our viewer says, yes, this is a topic I have been discussing via my company, Get Me a Real Job, which predicted the wave of online jobs and online careers. Yes, and I can stamp that as approval because we had a discussion about that about 2 or 3 years ago,
Hmm.
how more jobs were going to start to be online. And to answer your question, I feel like leadership is a learned skill.
Hmm.
I believe that some people, just like in other skill sets, may have a natural knack for it,
Hmm.
but it is learned.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
you can learn to be a great leader.
that that's you hit the nail on the head because um, everyone everyone has to learn. Like you said, no matter what skill set you're born with, leadership is a learned behavior. It's a learned process. It's a learned thinking because I was listening at someone talking about how to socialize and interact with people. And they said, when you walk in a room, some people say, "I'm here," and they like the things that revolve around them. Other people come in the room and they look around and say, "You're here. I would love to meet you and know more about you." See, a great leader, see, it's not about me, it's about you, it's about us, it's about
Hmm.
we. So a great leader has to learn, you know what I'm saying? And those are some of the things that I learned because sometime in leadership, your personality is too strong and you lead out and you're really
Hmm.
not concerned about your team. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So there is a need for us as leaders is to begin to check ourselves. And the number one thing, here's the number one thing that I've been working with for the last year. The number one thing I've been working with myself on as a leader is I said this to myself, get rid of your anger.
Yes.
Get rid of your anger. You know, that's huge. That's huge for me. You know what I'm saying? That's huge because, you have those days where things are not actually like they need to be. You're already angry about some other stuff. You got some other stuff that ain't working and really carrying on. And you kind of like bring that into, what I'm saying, into your leadership, into a problem that you're having with an employee or what I mean? So, you've got things that you're dragging in. So you, as a leader, you're not really dealing with the issue on the table. You know what I mean? The issue on the table you're confronted with, but you got some other stuff that's causing you to kind of like, what I mean, be a little brash when you should
Hmm.
have kind of like said, "Let me think about it." So get rid of my anger. That's huge for me.
Yes. Yes. And having that calm to master being calm
Yeah. Oh yeah.
is a great skill to have, a wonderful skill to have, but it's one of the hardest skills and skill sets to have and to maintain.
Hmm. Yeah. That's it. And the reason that is, I was listening in a class. It said you don't listen with your ears, you listen with your emotions. You see, I
Mm-hmm.
realize. See, you listen with your emotions, so it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Stephen Covey taught this in Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. He said, seek first to understand, and then to be understood.
Mm-hmm.
See, sometimes, you saying stuff. I mean, I have such a hard time sitting and letting you get your point all the way out. You know what I'm saying? Like, let them get their point all the way out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometime an employee, they don't really want you to do a whole lot. They just want to be heard. Just hear my
Mm-hmm.
complaint, even if you don't do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? But if you're so emotional that you just can't listen and then respond, the you talked about it when you said it pays to be calm and not flying off the handle. So that's an excellent quality in leadership. Go ahead. I know you
Yes.
have stuff you wanted to share.
Well, you know what? You're going right into what I was going to go into, which is the first point. All of this stems around emotional intelligence.
Hmm.
And emotional intelligence is not about the person, it's how you interact with the person.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so it's all about, even disc assessments. I love those. It teaches you what your personality trait is, how you communicate.
Hmm.
And then it teaches you other communication styles of the other types.
Hmm.
Not so people can learn how to communicate with you, but so how you can communicate with them. And when you are a leader, you have to be the master of learning how to communicate with several different people of your team. It is not your team's job to figure out how to communicate with you.
Hmm.
And that's where a lot of leaders go wrong. Oh, they need to figure out how to communicate with me. Well, no, you need to figure out how to communicate with them so they can, number one, work together as a team, and so they
Hmm.
can work with you, and so that you can understand where people are coming from. And a lot of times, leaders have a hard time communicating. And so, here, the point that I have is a leader must have great communication skills.
Hmm.
Communication skills is more than just can I speak proper English.
Hmm.
They must express themselves clearly, openly, and be able to build empathy.
Hmm.
And how do you build empathy? Empathy is not, oh, well, I'll just bring you in here and I'll talk to you. And, oh, how do you feel? Do you feel comfortable? This. It's when your person starts talking that you're actually listening to them,
Hmm.
that you actually hear what they're saying. And I had someone, it's funny because I've dealt with all types of people. And I was dealing with a gentleman and I was talking. He was like, I hear you. And I said, you hear me, but are you listening?
Hmm. Hmm.
Hearing me and listening to me are two
Hmm.
different things. Are
Two
you
different.
waiting for me to say what I'm going to say so you can have your retort? Or are
Hmm.
you actually listening to me? Are you listening to my frustration? Are you listening to my emotion? Are you listening to what my point of view is? Or are you just trying to hurry up and push through it so you can say what you have to say?
Yeah. That's so key.
Yes, yes.
That's key.
And the thing about it is, people can tell if you're just rushing them.
Hmm.
Yes,
Hmm.
you have the verbal communication, you have the nonverbal communication. You can pick up on someone's energy, even via online.
Hmm.
You can pick up the energy. And if your energy is not right, if you don't have that calm, you already have the person that you're talking to on guard.
Hmm.
And so, going into communication, the next step is what Dr. Love was saying is listening skills. Make eye contact. If you're not making eye contact with me, then I feel like you're distracted. I have to work on that too because I'm always multitasking through the day. I had one of my team bring that up to me one time when I was working in corporate, and I was like, "Oh wow!" And I was like, "I'm listening," not thinking because I was like, "I got all this stuff to do." And they expressed that they were offended and they felt like I wasn't paying attention, even though I really was
Hmm.
um, paying attention to what they said. Um, they were like, okay, you weren't paying me any mind. And I gave them the right answer.
Mhm, mhm,
So I thought about that and I said, hmm, okay. So the next time they came to my desk, the first thing I did, I was like, give me 1 second. So I
mhm.
finished an email that I was writing because I will forget. And then I was like, just give me a second. And I turned completely around. And this person had my full attention.
Undivided attention. Your
Yes.
undivided attention.
And even though they said, well, oh, I know that's just how you work. I said, no. I said, I didn't think about the fact that me being distracted, because I was distracted, even if I'm doing something else, I'm a little distracted,
Mhm,
the effect that it had on you. That's empathy. I said, so now every time you come here, I'm gonna let you know if I'm in the middle of someone's like, just give me 1 second so I can finish up what I'm doing so I don't lose my train of thought with this. And then you're gonna have my complete attention. And every time this person or anyone else came into my cubicle, I did the same thing. They had my full attention.
mhm,
It made the difference in how that team performed just
mhm,
because I paid attention. It also made a difference in how I was as a leader because certain things I didn't pick up in body language and cues and things like that because I had my face to the screen, even though I heard what they said.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. You don't have every you don't have all your senses working for you because as you said, communication is sound, body language, sight. You know what I'm saying? Gestures, just being able to read, read body languages, and that's one of the things that I always say. We just say things, but when you take
Hmm.
time to listen and think, my children, I've always laughed because they said, Father, when we ask you something, you're always going to say, let me think about it. Yes, yes, let me think about it before I say something too fast and I haven't given any thought. So that's why it's so good just to listen, give them their undivided attention, okay? Because they appreciate the fact that you took a moment out of your busy schedule and said, listen, right now, this next 2 minutes, it's all about you. Makes all the difference in the world. You know what
It
I'm saying?
does.
Yeah.
It does. And so that goes with, and I think all of these go hand in hand and go into emotional intelligence, is integrity. People will not think that you have integrity if you can't look them in the eye.
Mm,
I know that's one thing for me. If someone can't look me in my eye, the first thing I think is, what are you trying to get away with?
yeah. What you trying to hide?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because the eyes tell a lot. Now you can have people, they're good with the eyes and all of that and can fool you. That's few and far in between. But most people, if they're
Right.
being deceptive to you, they cannot keep your eye contact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they get real uncomfortable. And I've always, when I learned the skill, when I was told, look people in the face, I've had some great mentors when it came to leadership and business very early on. My pastor's wife was a corporate executive with the little brothers and little sisters. Back
Ah.
when it was little sisters and little brothers, and they were separate organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really shy and everything, and I didn't look people in the face because I had that shyness. And she was like, "You need to look people in their eye." And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it just makes me uncomfortable. She said, "Well, you need to get comfortable with it."
Mm-hmm.
She was like, no one will ever respect you if you can't look them in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing that. And the reaction that I got were two different things. Like I said, I could tell when people were being dishonest. I could tell when people were uncomfortable, like shy like me, or I could tell if they like most of the time, and you would be surprised from the top down. Sometimes it made people uncomfortable being able to make eye contact with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I found that either they had news that they didn't want to have to share, or they couldn't tell you the whole story. And I'm always good at picking up when someone's not telling the full story. And
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of knew. I don't have a poker face. One of my mentors, um, I've had many throughout the years, told me that I didn't have a poker voice, but I know I don't have a poker face. Everything shows up on this face.
Gotcha. Yeah. The
I
story
try.
is told. The story is told.
I try. Um, but with integrity, one of the things that you need to do, and this is part of communication, as a leader, apologize for your mistakes. One of
Mm-hmm.
the biggest things that I see that leaders don't do is apologize for their mistakes, for your shortcomings. Sometimes leadership is short to point out their staff shortcomings, but when they have one, and even when it's brought to them, it'll be like, oh, well, I was busy, or oh, I made that typo in that email or in this, but I'm just so busy. Okay, well, acknowledge it because your staff is busy too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're busy doing the stuff you assign them.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
So, apologize for your mistakes. Apologize for not answering that email. Apologize for not responding when they asked for a meeting and then you told them you did, oh, I'll get back to you, and it's 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
Be honest and tell them I can meet with you in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. But apologize for your mistakes. Highlight the work of your staff. A lot of times the fallout of leadership is they'll point out everything that's being done wrong, even in a stellar employee, but
Yes.
never highlight what they did right.
That's right. Yeah.
What that turns into is your employee not feeling valued. And
Right.
over the years, I have heard this from my staff members. I have heard this from um, people who came to me who were now looking for another job
Mm-hmm.
because now they didn't feel like their work was valued. And I'm talking about I had people who had a laundry list
Mm-hmm.
of verifiable accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they not feel valued? It's not that they didn't see their value. They did not feel like the leadership saw their value. Why? Because the leadership never said, good job.
Mm-hmm.
Give the benefit of the doubt when things are unclear.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership, a lot of times, some of them do not do that. When the staff member comes back and say, okay, wait a minute, can you explain this in another way? I was clear. Obviously not, because they have questions.
Yeah.
Number one. Or number two, they did what they thought you told them, and it wasn't quite what you thought.
Mm-hmm.
Give them the benefit of the doubt. Remember, we're communicating. I
Mm-hmm.
can think I'm being completely clear, but you might not be, and the interpretation might not be the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I've always led from how I've seen leadership. And so a lot of times when I was in leadership, what I would do is after I would explain what I wanted done, I'm like, was I being clear?
Mm-hmm.
I would ask them, what, was I clear? Now I had two different reactions. Oh, I understood what you said. I'm not stupid. I'm not saying you are. I just want to make sure that I'm communicating
That's right.
clearly that you understand me. Or I would get, you know what? I kind of didn't understand XYZ point. That's what I was looking for. Because a lot of times, because of the way certain things are in corporate, it's like, okay, I tell you what to do, I'm gonna run. That clarity is automatically had. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not.
Yes.
And it's not. It is not. And sometimes when you're not clear, it takes more time to fix something that someone put together than it is to ask those questions and put it together the right way the first time and be appreciative of people's time. A lot of times I found that leadership are not appreciative of people's time because they feel like they're the busiest person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But again, your staff is busy too. I've seen where it's not okay for a staff member to be late, but it's okay for the leader to be late. I don't think it's acceptable for anyone to be late. And if
Mm-hmm.
they are, because life happens, apologize. Or if you know you're running late and your meeting is running late, everybody does I am. Meeting's running a little bit late.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a staff member, I'm waiting in a meeting for 15 minutes in a meeting room. I could have been doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
I could have showed up 15, 20 minutes later
Later. Mm-hmm.
because you're going to be later.
Hmm.
and I could be getting things accomplished.
That's
Integrity.
yeah. That's so huge. I was thinking as as you were sharing that, um, as a leader, oftentimes we think we're good communicators, and we're not bad. You know what I'm saying? I consider myself to be a good communicator. But there are times when I communicated and I thought I was clear, and they said, "What did you say?" And I thought I was clear, you know. So what I said and what you heard can be two different statements. You know what I'm saying? What I said
Mm-hmm.
and what you heard, what I meant and what you interpreted. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so as a leader, you've got to make sure, am I communicating clear? What and
Mm-hmm.
I would say sometimes, what did I say? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that I can hear you mirror back to me what I said, so that I can actually clear that you received it, because that is so important. Because I was thinking the number one compensation on the job, if we was just to ask our audience a pop question, what would your answer be for the number one currency that's exchanged in the marketplace in terms of employee employer? The number one currency. Give you 2 seconds. I gave you more than 2 seconds, but the number one currency is appreciation.
Yes, it is.
Appreciation. You would think money, but there's some people who would take less money and be appreciated than to take more money and not be appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I had my daughter say that to me one time. They did a dinner for, I was having an event. They handled the dinner. They did all the things that they needed to do. And you know, my wife said to me, it was a little, she let me know I wasn't, 100% on it. Then I said, my daughter, I said, what happened? What did I do? She said, you know how you normally go around and just say, I appreciate you. I say, I appreciate what you did. This particular event, I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So she let me know, you know how you normally go around and say, thank you. I appreciate what you did. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Couldn't have done it without you. You know what I'm saying? See,
Mm-hmm.
leader, no money changed hands. Just the fact that you appreciated me, you took the time to notice what I did and my contribution, and then you came to me and told me,
Mm-hmm.
saw what you did. I appreciate what you did. Thank you for what you've done. That
Yes,
that goes so far in
because
leadership.
it showed you valued them. And
Mm,
yeah, it showed that you valued them, that you valued their time, that you valued their input, that you valued their work,
yeah.
that you valued them as a professional.
As a professional. You know what I'm saying? And you just talked about it, like you said, in a meeting.
Hmm.
In business, one of the things we talk about is being fashionably late. In my
Hmm.
developing days, and I got early. I was young. I thought I was sharp and I was cool. You want to make a grand entrance. You want to be a little late so people can watch you as you strolling with your coffee or your water. You know what I'm saying? But when you understand
Hmm.
business, you know what I'm saying? Understanding business. Here's what came to me to share, and then I'm gonna make my point if I can remember. One of the good qualities of a good leader is to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Like we talk about being late to a meeting. If there's a
Hmm.
meeting, the leader needs to be there a few minutes earlier because you're demonstrating something.
Hmm.
Okay, you're demonstrating something. Now, for all the leaders that are listening tonight, I wanted to share with you something that I taught my children. I implemented in my business, and I learned I've got to take a new look at it. I've got to rethink some things. Okay, we say time management in business. I taught my children time management. I took time management courses. I studied time management. Brian Tracy taught time management. Management. As I began to grow and develop, okay, and this is something that Earl Nightingale said. He said there is no such thing as time management.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that. Time does one thing and one thing only, and this is what we've got to go back to our step. Time does one thing and one thing only. It measures. Time is a measurement. It measures what you have done or what you haven't done. So I want us as leaders to begin. I went back and I told my team, I said, there's no such thing as time management. Everybody gets 24 hours in a day. I don't care if you're a millionaire, billionaire, or a multi-thousandaire. No one gets more than 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, 4 weeks out of a month, 12 months out of the year, 365 days. Everybody gets it. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
manage time. What you can manage is your activity in time.
Mm-hmm. Yourself.
You've got to
Self
manage
management.
activity. Okay.
Yes.
You've got to manage your activities. You can't manage time. So you want to tell your people, forget about time management. Now let's manage our activities. How many
Mm-hmm.
activities do we need to carry and manage in this day and in this time? Okay. So the point that I was making that carried me into that is our time for meetings. When you have a meeting, this really clicked in me. You've got to be, I'm going to be there 5 minutes before I'm asking you to come. Because when you get there, I want to be there. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to rush you in because I respect your time.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's why I was giving you all that. I respect your time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to have you waiting on, I'm not going to have you waiting on me for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not going to waste your time. You're not going to be waiting
Mm-hmm.
on me. I'm going to be there waiting. I'm going to be there waiting on you because I respect time and I operate with a mindset of integrity. And
Exactly.
that's what leadership is. It's integrity. Can I trust you?
Mm-hmm.
Can I trust you not to talk this thing out, but to walk this thing out in front of me. Now you're talking. You know what I'm saying? Like Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. I'm following somebody that's following somebody that's worth following. All right, Miss Katrina.
Well, we're going to, on that note, that was an excellent segue. We are going to go to our break, and then we're going to come back with more qualities of a great leader.
We'll be back.
The business and entrepreneurial world is full of talk. Talk, 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 talk. Enough. We take everything you've learned, leverage it, and give you the actual tools you need to put all the talk into your walk. Attend the conference that's all about action, strategies, and real ROI. Your executive GPS ticket includes access to seminars and workshops where you'll learn business financing, such as loans, grants, venture capital, and angel investors. Business strategies, human capital strategies, such as hiring contractors versus employees. Government contracts. Register today. www.theexecutivegps.com.
All right. So that was our sponsor, the Executive GPS Leadership Conference, which is in a few days,
Yes, sir.
about 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And we have a great panel of speakers this year who will be
Hmm.
presenting to you what you need to not just survive, but to thrive in this economy and the next, because the
Mm.
economy is constantly shifting,
Wow.
especially in the post COVID world. So come and get yourself venture ready. All right?
Invest in yourself. That's isn't
Yes.
that a good quality of a leadership? Investing in yourself.
Yes, it is.
To invest in yourself.
To invest in your professional development.
Oh man.
And the cost of this conference is not as expensive as other conferences, and you will walk away with takeaways that you can use from the moment you leave that each session. I
Correct.
made sure of that.
And that's a good thing. And here's the other part that we want to tell them, Katrina. Your investment in your professional development is a tax write-off.
It is.
Okay.
It's
And,
a
and
tax write off, but it's also a personal accountability because as a leader, you're constantly growing. In
Constant.
order to be a great leader, and I was taught this when I was young, and I've seen it in people, I've seen it in myself. Great leaders are awesome students and
Mm,
awesome followers.
mm,
You have to
uh,
know how to be those before you can be a great leader.
mm-hmm.
You don't know it all.
That's right.
You may know a lot, but you don't know it all.
You don't know it all. And I say it like this here. All you know is all you know.
Exactly.
And one of my clients used to say it like this here. She said, you could write a whole book on things I don't know. Okay.
And
So,
I'm so sure that everyone can. A great leader even learns from their employees.
oh, yes, 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 absolutely.
So, and wow, we're always see, we're so aligned. Um the next item that we want to talk about is accountability.
Mm,
And that leads right into accountability. A good leader takes more than his or her share of the blame and less of the share of the credit.
mm,
Hmm.
that's a good one.
Yes, it is. All too often, though, we see leaders who take all of the credit
Mhm.
and none of the blame when things go wrong.
None of the blame when it falls
Guess
apart.
right. Guess what? Because you led that team.
Mhm.
So it's not you failed, we failed.
We failed. I failed.
Yes.
That's a powerful statement for a leader. I I failed. No, 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 no. The department didn't get everything in like it needed to be. Well, that's me. You know what I'm saying? If I'm head of this department, if I'm head of this, and we don't have no gas in the ship,
Hmm.
they're not looking at the help on the ship. They're looking at the leader. You didn't know to get your gas tank filled up, and you didn't know to check this. So everything, and those are, they said this. I was going to share this when you were talking about it a while ago. They said the six most powerful words in the English language is "I'm sorry, I made a mistake."
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, taking responsibility. If anybody doesn't hold up the end of the bargain, it's my fault because at the end of the day, I'm the head of the team.
Hmm.
That's how you want to.
Yeah.
That's how you want to go on down.
I had one, and I'm gonna tell this story. Um, when I was in corporate, everybody knows that I keep saying that, but I was, um, and I was on a piece of a project, and I say very a piece. I was given a small portion to do.
Mhm,
I did that portion. I actually, even before, while I was doing it, questioned um, other pieces as I was doing it. And I was like, I think maybe we should go through these and check them because some of it was automated, some of it was manual.
mhm,
And I had questioned the automation because I had to do the manual piece. I was told, no, don't check, don't audit the rest of it, just do what I told you.
mhm,
And went back a second time because I was like, I'm really concerned. And they were like, I just told you to do this part. If I find that you checked anything else, I'm gonna write you up. So I was like, oh, that's the end of that.
mhm,
Um, fast forward, they were in the meeting. I'm on my way out the door. It was the end of my day. And it was just like, you have to come to this meeting. You have to come to this meeting now. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm thinking it's going to be like 5 minutes. I'm sitting in this meeting and I'm in the hot seat sizzled. I mean, it was directors and higher in that
mhm,
meeting.
mhm,
And I'm sitting there and they're like, oh, well, you did this and this. Basically, the manual stuff that I did was correct and all of the automation was wrong.
mm,
And they were like, well, how can you not take credit for your data? I said, I did. This is what I did. And it was like, well, this is your data. And I said, actually, no, it's not. I just came in to do X, Y, and Z.
mhm.
So then they turned to
And
my manager.
you were told not to check anything else, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
I didn't say that. I didn't mention that part because,
okay.
as part of a leader, you taking accountability. This is what I did. And they was like, you didn't think to check the rest of it? I said, well, yes, I did. Because on the flip side, I was an auditor. So there's like, you're an auditor and you didn't. And I said, I did. I brought this to my leadership, my management.
Mhm,
And they were like, well, so how come it wasn't checked? I said, because I was told that wasn't what I was assigned to do.
mhm,
I was assigned to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, why didn't you just do it anyway? I said, because I was specifically told if I did, I would be written up. And the moment, because I had a manager who had a director that was there, he was like, I know she can speak for her data. He was in audit. I was actually under him under audit, so he knew my work. And he was like, oh, she'll be able to explain. This may not be wrong. She might be able to explain it.
Okay.
And so when I came in and they came all to it, and I was like, this is not my data. This is not my spreadsheet. He got up and walked out the room.
Mm.
So then it went from, because everyone that was in the room was higher than what my manager was. Now they're looking at her and now they're apologizing to me. They did what leadership was supposed to do. Oh, we're
Mm-hmm.
so sorry. We didn't know. We were told that this was yours and this.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, whose work is this? The person finally speaks up. And they were like, we were in here for an hour. How come you didn't tell us this was your stuff? They were over me. And then it was my manager. They were willing to let me take the fall for this work.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes down to the accountability.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This failed. Yes, I had a part. Yes, even the lead had a part. But you were the one who made the decision.
Mm.
The project flopped. Instead of the leader saying, okay, I made this decision, this is on me, which is what they were pretty much looking for. Um, no, they just like, oh no, this. It was so bad that every leader in that room, from the one who walked out, it was reported back to me from the VP that as soon as the director left, because he never came back, he was a senior director, he never came back. He went to his office, got on the phone, and called our VP,
Mm-hmm.
who my manager reported to, I reported to, and told them what happened. Every leader that left that room called that VP. His phone was ringing off the hook
Gotcha.
because of the lack of accountability of that leader.
Mm.
Because that leader put me in a space that was uncomfortable. And one of them was a director of audit. And she said, I really did put the screws to her. I was like, how could you? Like, I've heard, and mind you, I had left the organization, they had called, and I had come back. She
Mm-hmm.
was like, I heard so much about you. So I was excited when I was on a project with you that they said that you had hands on. And I was totally disappointed when I looked at this. And so when she had pulled examples up, I said, well, no, I know that's not right. It's not the same. She's like, well, you couldn't see that. I said, I wasn't in charge of auditing
Mm-hmm.
anything. I was solely data entry, and that's what I was told that I was going to do with extreme
Consequences if you
force.
did anything other than what you were told to do.
Yes. And so she was very apologetic. Even when we met later, she was like, I do apologize. She said, because you were in a tough spot, even
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning. And I did not, she said, I really did not know. And she was like, I really was, she said it was more of, like you said, everything is emotional, disappointed when I saw the results. And then they mentioned your name, that you looked at it. And for the type of person that I've been told that you are, that you find mistakes, it's just a natural part of
Mm-hmm.
you. And that's true. I can look at something like, that's not right. Um,
Yeah.
and it's just there. And so I said, yeah, and I knew certain things were not right. And I did bring that up, but
Mm-hmm.
you can't go beyond your manager when it comes to that. So
Yeah.
having that accountability really goes a long way. It goes into the next one. Like I said, everything goes hand in hand. Is empathy.
Mm-hmm.
In that room, there was no empathy in the beginning. Then once things were seen and I was able to, I could tell the person was upset. I had to really kind of keep saying things, drill down and drill down and drill down until they finally heard that this was not my work, that I had not created this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
um, and so then the empathy or the understanding, because that's what empathy is,
Mm-hmm.
came in. It was like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, why did you even mention her name? Because she just came in, she was trying to help y'all. And everything she did is right
Mm-hmm.
and is accurate. So the only accurate thing on this is what she did, and you were going to have her take the fall for the stuff that wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
And so empathy is one of those fundamental things you have to have as leaders.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how what do you call it, volatile something becomes,
Yes.
you have to be able to read the room and read the person. And that was one of the things, because one of the leaders said, she was like, she knew, and she was like, okay, you got to say, it was just like she was sitting there like, you got to say the right thing, you got to say the right thing. And she was like, as soon as you said, I was like, yes. She said, because the moment you came into that room, and she said, even when you first said it, I was just like, this isn't what's going on. Like what's happening here is not what has been presented to us. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to, and she said, and I saw you. She said, you kept thinking, you kept changing your word, you kept changing your word. She's out, and it was just like, there it is, and everything. She said, I felt so bad, but I had to let, it play out the way, it had to play out. And I was like, and I did notice, um, by some of the things that she was saying, like she was trying to coach the room and everything like that. She understood before the main person understood what
Mm-hmm.
was going on, other than my old manager who got up and walked out the room. He knew, like when I said, because he knew how I communicated. When I said what I said, he was like, and walked out the room. I was like, oh, okay. I thought he was going to come back. He never came back
Mm-hmm.
into the room, just because he was just so upset by what was done.
Yeah.
Um, but it
He's the one,
enables,
he's the
empathy
one that took.
enables leaders to do this: make better predictions on outcomes that are going to happen via staff, via data, via the situation. It improves work strategies, strategies on how you place people, how you take accountability, how you do things. It inspires loyalty, because with that situation, the one thing it did, it forever changed my perspective of that leader. And that was a leader that I highly respected,
Mm-hmm.
and told people throughout the organization how much I highly respected them. This was a leader who, this organization was my first job out of college.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at that organization for almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I credited that woman, that manager, for giving someone who knew nothing about the industry, that was fresh faced from college, an opportunity. Because when I came in there, I was in there for like 6 months, and I was working things that people who were not working, who were working there for 5 years, were not working,
Okay.
because of my stick to itiveness. And I was not supposed to be able to do that, because how, junior I was. She
Mm-hmm.
gave me the opportunity. She said, if she wants to do it, let her do it. And so it gave me a confidence that I needed to go into a world that I knew nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
That one moment erased 20 years of respect, 20 years of seeing this person as a great person,
Mm-hmm.
that I, like I said, I was like, they were one of my mentors. They were someone I looked up to. It
Mm-hmm.
changed that. And not only did it change it, from that moment, I made the decision to leave that organization.
Okay.
And it helps you negotiate better with clients, with your team.
Mm-hmm.
So having that empathy does that. And it also helps increase creativity. When I had managers that were empathetic, just like I felt this manager was, it increased my creativity,
Mm-hmm.
increased my willingness to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so good. And I was thinking as you were talking about that, when it comes down to our business, corporate, there was a motive there. I mean, because if this person was instrumental in your growth and development, and then they get to this point where they let this thing crash, it's like, what's going on that you wanted me to fail, or you wanted this, you
Mhm.
wanted this to happen. It was some reason there. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? We don't know why, the accountability piece just went out the window because, like you said, I mean, you're too smart to let something like this happen.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
in our businesses, you know, we don't have the same we don't have the same margin for error as corporate has. So in our business, it behooves us, what I'm saying, to grow so that as our people grow, we don't have to strategically sabotage them. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
We don't have to kind of like start holding them back because they're growing beyond us. Because if we're growing, they're going to be growing. And we don't have
Mhm.
to go through the games that corporate takes some of their people through. Because, I mean, some of the stuff you hear happen in corporate America, you'd be like, are y'all doing business or y'all playing games?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which one is it? You playing games or y'all trying to do business? See, I don't have, I got bills to pay. I don't have time to play games,
Yeah. Mhm.
you know. So you have a tendency in your own business to come out and say, let's fix it up. And I just encourage all business leaders. It took me a while to realize that your business, if you treat your business and your employees like family, 'cause that's what a corporation is. That's what a business is, and it's an extension of your family. You begin to implement some of them principles, your business is going to grow. I believe that.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And the next one goes right into the empathy is humility. And you mentioned that being humble and vulnerable with your team will make you more relatable.
Yes.
Plain and simple. They'll feel like they can come to you. They'll feel like, they again, if you're vulnerable with them, they can be vulnerable with you.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about your 10th baby daddy or husband drama and stuff like that. We're just talking about vulnerability when it comes to work. If something is uncomfortable,
hmm
if something is not understood, can I come to you and say, you know what? This one part that you were talking about, I really kind of didn't understand that. Can we discuss that for 5 minutes?
hmm
Something just as simple as that. People are afraid to go to management to say.
mm
Why? Because they're not being humble. They don't have any humility.
hmm
My team used to say to me, "We you can ask Katrina anything."
That's a good thing.
And they could. Even they would even ask me, "I have a question." I said, "Hopefully I'll have an answer."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone would laugh when I said it, but I was being so truthful because
That's
you
good.
can ask me, and they were like, "Why do you always say that?" I said, "Because you can ask me something that I don't know, and I might have to say, let me
Right.
get back to you on that."
Yeah. Rather than pretend that you know it.
Exactly.
To be able to say, I don't know that, but let me get back with you. You know what I'm saying? See, as a leader, I've had those times when I didn't know, but I didn't want to look like I didn't know. You know what I mean? So I would say something or do something, but I really didn't know. And like you said, it just speaks volume of you when you get a situation you said, no, I don't really know that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to pretend that I know it, and I'm not going to just tell you a puff of smoke where just to say something. You know,
Mm-hmm.
see that's leadership. Is like you said, that vulnerability. You know,
Mm-hmm.
to be humbled enough to make it like, oh, I don't know, honey, I don't know it all. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I happen to have this position. I'm in charge. I'm overseer. I'm this here, but I don't know it all. And
Mm-hmm.
you tell them, yes, you tell me because there's something where you learn from me. Believe me, I'm going to learn something from you.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going to learn.
Oh yeah. Being the subject matter expert does not mean that you can't learn. And
That's
doesn't mean that somebody might ask you a question that may stump you.
hmm
But are you humble enough to say, even if you don't say I don't know it, just say, let me get back to you on that.
yes, yes, yes.
Most people know when you say let me get back to you, that means I gotta do some research.
Let me go do some homework.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me get back to you on
Mm,
that. I became the queen of that and
yeah.
knowing that. Let me get back to you on that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll start by saying that was a good question.
Mhm, yes. Yeah. That's
Acknowledging that this person came with an excellent question.
excellent question. Excellent question. That's right. Yeah.
And it was a question that, hey, woo, you got me on.
Yes. Yes. Because here's the thing, and just go on the other side of questioning is like you said, that was a good question. And then
Hmm.
you have in corporate America, in question and answer session, you have what we would call the dumb question. Let's
Hmm.
make it clear. There is no such thing as a
It's
dumb
a
question.
dumb question. I'll
If
take it further. I used to tell my staff there's no such thing as a dumb question, but there might be a dumb answer.
Mhm, mhm, yeah, yeah, yeah. And see, that's so huge for me personally because in my growing in high school, oftentimes people don't want to ask a question. One, because their peers may look at them a certain way, and two,
Mhm.
leadership will make you look at like, huh? You you don't know that? You should know it. No, if you don't know it, let me know you don't know it so I can go over it again so I can make sure I taught you something that later on I may be asking you for down the road.
Mhm.
If you don't know it and I never taught you, you've never been trained at that level, you've never been put into that, you don't have the experience. And I'm going to ask you for something that I didn't see to it that you were trained on. That's not good leadership.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you have a question and you may think it's a dumb question, or you may have gone over it 20 times and someone still doesn't get it, because that happens sometimes. You said, I
Mhm.
done said this 10 times, y'all, and you still ain't getting it. Are you thick? No, no, no. They just didn't get it. Okay.
Mhm.
Take
And
time
and
and go one more time.
and here's the thing. Sometimes first of all, you have to know the audience you're speaking to. Because sometimes you could be speaking over somebody's head.
Yes.
And so are you saying it the exact same way 10 times? And that's why they haven't gotten it the 10th time?
Okay.
And that's the thing with that. It's like, or sometimes it's a thing of, okay, the when people's like, oh, that's a silly question. Or
hmm
no, there it is. Thank you. Oh, that's easy. I
hmm
used to tell people, I said, everything is easy when you know it, but everything is hard when you don't.
Don't know. That's a true statement there. Everything is easy once you know it. Yeah, that's first
Mhm.
repeat.
That was easy, or that was simple. But going back, because oh my gosh, we're 2 minutes out. I had a feeling we weren't going to go through get through all of these.
Okay.
Um, but the next one is resilience. And what people need to know that true grit is not how you perform in good times, but how you perform when times get difficult. Do you roll up your sleeves and do you get involved and
hmm
produce when things get difficult?
hmm
One of the things I found in leadership with people who are not good leaders, and it could be a lack of knowledge on their own part, because there are many leaders who don't know what their people do. And they don't want to know. And there are times where there's disasters and all hands need to be on deck, including the leader.
Yeah.
And I've seen leaders bow out of that because they feel like their work is beneath them.
Mm. I'm too good for that. I'm too
And
good. Yeah.
as a leader, none of the work in your department should be too good for you.
hmm
I told a leader, honestly, I was on my way out and I didn't care. Same leader. Um, they wanted me to do a certain task. Now, mind you, I was the project person, the subject leader, so I was all over the place. And he's like, I want you to do this too. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And they
Mm.
were like, well, why not? I was like, because I don't see you doing it. She looked at me just the way. You're looking at me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And and she was like, "Oh, but that's that's your job." I said, "Actually, it's not." And I'm not saying that the work is beneath me, but every project that I'm on, you're on. We're in every meeting together. If it's that critical, why is it that you want me to stay over and do it, and you're not willing to sit here and do it either, too?
Lead by example.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, so unless it's really all hands on deck and all leadership is going to be here, because I was like, honestly, I said it simply because I knew that it was retaliatory, and it was retaliatory from the earlier situation that we discussed.
Okay. Okay.
And I was just like, so if all the leaders are not sitting here too, I will not. And I was just like, and then it was time for me to go. I was like, on that note, it's time for me to go. See you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I do not, if employees are listening, I do not recommend that you say that. I was already on my way out the door.
Yeah.
I do not recommend that you do that. But it was the point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I discussed it with our management over us, and they were like, well, no, we didn't even want you to do that. They're not in that dire straits. It's 13 people on the floor. You're doing this and doing these projects and keeping things together and this. You don't have time to do that.
Okay.
So I was like, so that was the thing with that. We are over time, and I think I
Mm-hmm.
just had my coattail pulled. Um,
Uh-huh.
um, but again, I knew we weren't going to have enough time to cover
Yeah.
this, and this
Yeah.
is such a meat and potatoes subject.
Mm-hmm.
I still have vision, influence, positivity, and delegation, and how to properly delegate. I don't know. We'll continue this next week because, like I said, I have some things in the works. But to find out how to be a good leader, you can look up those things and look up those things when it comes to leadership to help you be a better leader.
Absolutely. And you ended
Okay.
with a good note, resilience. Resilience. That's a good one. Resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. Be willing to show who you are when things are tough. And are you willing to get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves, and get involved?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. So, with that being said, we are going to see you next week. And thank you so much. And
Thank
we're going to
you.
have our cup of tea next week.
Next week. Don't be late.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of High Tea with Me. To be a guest on the show, contact us via email info@ventureready.net. Thank you again, and see you next week.